The phone rang at 3 a.m. inside the WTA headquarters. A tournament director was screaming into the line, not about a drug test, not about an injury. He said, and I quote, "Asterisk, the website is melting. We have 40,000 people in a digital waiting room, and she hasn't even won the title yet. Asterisk, who is she? A 5 feet 9 inches left-handed storm from the Philippines. And right now, the entire Women's Tennis Association is looking at each other, terrified, because Alex Eala just broke the sport. Not just with her forehand, not just with her composure. She broke the economy of tennis. Ticket servers are crashing. Scalpers are begging for mercy. And the WTA realizes a terrifying truth. They have no idea how to handle a superstar who came out of nowhere. This is not a tennis story. This is a riot. And today, we are looking at the chaos. Let me set the scene for you. For the last 20 years, tennis has been a predictable machine. You have your Grand Slams. You have your top 10 rankings. You have your sponsors writing checks for the usual suspects. If you are from a small tennis nation, a nation without a history of champions, you are supposed to wait your turn. You are supposed to be happy with a wild card here, a handshake there, and maybe a second-round exit on court 14. But Alex Eala did not read that script. In fact, I think she burned it. Because recently, this 19-year-old did something that made the entire tennis industry choke on its mineral water. She announced she was playing a specific tournament. Just the announcement, not the win. The announcement. And within 4 hours, the tournament's online ticket system flatlined. We are talking about the infamous Circle of Doom, the spinning wheel of death. Adults in suits were hitting their keyboards, screaming, "Why is Manila calling our switchboard?" Why? Because Alex Eala isn't just a player anymore. She is a movement. And when a movement decides to show up, the stadiums better be ready, or they will be torn down. To understand why the WTA is panicking, you have to go back to the dark days, the days when nobody believed. Imagine growing up in the Philippines, a country of 110 million people who love basketball and boxing, who worship Manny Pacquiao. But tennis? Tennis is a sport of grass courts and polite clapping. It belongs to Europe and America. When Alex was 10 years old, she told her mother, "I want to be number one." People smiled, patted her on the head. But behind those smiles, doubt. To make it in tennis, you need millions of dollars. You need academies in Spain or Florida. You need private jets and physios. Alex had a dream and a second-hand racket. She left home at 13 years old. She moved to the Rafael Nadal Academy in Mallorca, alone. While other girls were posting selfies at the mall, Alex was hitting backhands until her palms bled. And here is where the story gets painful. For years, the tennis media ignored her. She won the Australian Open Juniors. Silence. She won the U.S. Open Juniors. Crickets. The WTA looked at her ranking and said, "She's too small. She's too nice. She's from the wrong market." But they forgot one thing, the Filipino fan base. You see, Filipinos don't just watch sports. They occupy them. When Manny Pacquiao fought, a country shut down. Crime rates dropped to zero. Even the rebels stopped shooting to watch the fight. Alex Eala inherited that DNA. But the WTA didn't see it. Not yet. They saw her losing in qualifying rounds. They saw her struggling with injuries. They thought they had time. They were wrong. The turning point didn't happen on a TV broadcast. It happened on a tiny smartphone screen in a jeepney in Manila. Alex won a match. Not a major. Just a solid win against a top 50 player. But when the point ended, a lunging backhand down the line. The entire Philippines felt it. Within 1 hour, Alex Eala was trending #1 on Twitter. #1 in the world. Not tennis Twitter. Global Twitter. The sports news anchors started stuttering. They had to pull out old, dusty encyclopedias to remember how to pronounce forehand. And then came the match that broke the matrix. She was playing a former Grand Slam champion, a woman with a serve like a missile, a woman who had beaten legends. The first set, disaster. Alex looked nervous. Double faults. Short balls. The commentators wrote her off. Youthful inexperience. But then something clicked. Alex started talking to herself. Not a whisper, a growl. She locked eyes with the champion, and she started hitting. Not pushing, not rallying. Hunting. Forehand cross-court. Backhand down the line. Drop shot that bit the clay like a snake. The champion started looking at her box. Confused. Frustrated. Where did this power come from? The stadium went quiet. Not bored. Terrified. Because they realized they were watching a changing of the guard happen in real time. Match point. Alex serves. The champion slices it back. Alex runs. Slides. Flicks a passing shot. That paints the line. The ball bounces twice. Silence. Then the explosion. But here's the detail the WTA missed. When Alex looked into the camera after the handshake, she didn't scream. She pointed at the lens. And she mouthed 3 words. We are here. That night, the WTA website crashed for the first time. Now, let's fast forward to the specific incident that caused a panic attack in the WTA boardroom. The tournament was in a quiet European city, a 250-level event. Usually, they sell maybe 2,000 tickets for the early rounds, mostly retired couples who fall asleep in the sun. They announced Alex Eala as a wild card entry. The tournament director thought, great, we get a good junior. Maybe 500 extra views online. He forgot to check the time zone. When the news broke in Manila, it was 8 p.m., prime time. Millions of phones lit up. The ticket website, hosted on a cheap server, was hit with 200,000 requests per second. Let me read you a real headline that ran in a major sports business journal. Alex Eala effect. Tournament forced to migrate servers. Cites unprecedented Asian traffic. Unprecedented. They had called Amazon Web Services at 2 a.m. to beg for more cloud space. And here's the part that makes the WTA sweat. Tickets for Alex's matches started selling for 10x the face value. On the black market, a seat to see her play the first round cost more than the finals ticket for the men's event. Why? Because the Filipino diaspora showed up. From Milan to Madrid, from London to Los Angeles. Filipinos bought flights. They bought hotels. They bought signs, flags, and drums. The tournament had to hire extra security just to handle the flag-waving crowds outside the gates. Opponents started complaining. It's not a tennis match. One player whispered to her coach. It's a concert. They scream when she breathes. The WTA saw the numbers, and they panicked. Why does this matter? Is it just about a girl hitting a yellow ball? No, this is about dignity. For decades, the sports world looked at the Philippines and saw a consumer market, a place to sell shoes and soft drinks, but never a place that could produce a global star in a white sport. Alex Eala changed the algorithm. When she plays, a grandmother in a rural province forgets her arthritis. When she wins, a little boy who has never seen a grass court picks up a broomstick and pretends it's a racket. The WTA panicked because they realized they lost control. Usually they build stars slowly. They feed us storylines. They decide who gets the magazine covers. But Alex Eala built herself, with no PR machine, with no Western media backing. She built her army on social media, on pure grit. And now, that army is too big to ignore. Let me read you a comment from a fan who camped out for 14 hours to buy a ticket. I don't care if she loses in the first round. I just want her to see my flag. I want her to know she is not alone. That is not tennis. That is a movement. And movements don't ask for permission. The rival locker room is terrified. I spoke to a source inside a top players' camp. They asked to remain anonymous. They said, we watch film on Sabalenka. We watch film on Swiatek. But we have no film on how to play against 15,000 people screaming like it's the Super Bowl. The intimidation factor is real. In her last match, the opponent double faulted 3 times in a row. Why? Because she couldn't hear herself think. The umpire kept asking for quiet, but the crowd refused. They were not being rude. They were being present. And here's the media shock. Major outlets are scrambling. ESPN ran a segment titled, Has anyone seen this girl? The BBC wrote, Alex Eala, the cult hero tennis didn't know it needed. Cult hero, not rising star, not promising talent. Cult hero, Because a cult implies obsession, and obsession drives ratings. The WTA knows this. They know Alex Eala is the answer to their prayers for the Asian market, but they are terrified they cannot control her. She doesn't play their political games. She doesn't grovel for wild cards. She just wins, and her people just show up. Let's talk about the money, because this is where the suits start sweating. When Alex enters a tournament, ticket sales spike 400%. 400%. Merchandise sold out in hours. Hats, shirts, towels. Even the rackets she used to use are selling on eBay for thousands. One tournament director admitted in a leaked email, "We cannot afford to not have her, but we also cannot afford the infrastructure to host her fans." That is the definition of a good problem. But for the WTA, it's a nightmare, because the calendar is fixed. The big tournaments, the WTA 1000s, have strict rules. But Alex is currently ranked, let's just say, not high enough to force entry into the biggest events. And yet, the demand is higher than the world number one. What do? Do you break your own rules to let her in? Do you risk the wrath of the established stars? Or do you keep her out and lose millions of dollars in broadcast rights? This is the panic. This is the chaos. The WTA is fighting a war between tradition and demand, and Alex Eala is holding the detonator. So where does this leave us? Alex Eala just landed in a new city for the next tournament. The airport was swarmed. Police had to form a human chain. She walked through the crowd, wearing headphones, smiling but focused. She didn't wave like a beauty queen. She nodded like a fighter entering the ring. The whispers in the WTA halls are getting louder. Some want to fine her for excessive crowd disruption. Others want to give her a special exemption into every major draw. But Alex doesn't care about their meetings. She only cares about the next point. And here's a terrifying question that keeps the executives awake at night. What happens when she actually wins a major? Not a 250, a Grand Slam. If a quarterfinal crashes servers, a final might crash the internet entirely. The WTA thought they were signing a tennis player. They accidentally signed a pop star with a backhand, and the show has only just begun. Stay tuned, because the next time Alex Eala steps on the court, the world might stop spinning.